What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Data download for Zoro and King, Zoro and Alba should we say, is finally here. These characters visually look stunning, and we now have the information for further information regarding to Zoro and his captain ability, because I know that the official Twitter reveal didn't actually give us all of the information for his captain. We're going to clear that up right now, and we also have the rare recruits to talk about, and two brand new super evolutions, which I may actually include in a separate video because there actually is a lot to talk about in regards to that. Now, before we actually get into what the Sugo-fest is all about and the new characters, we need to talk about Zoro and his captain ability, because that was the big thing that was kind of thrown up in the air. We don't really know what's going on. Now we do have the full information, and man, this artwork looks so good. Zoro's captain ability, as we know, so this is the base captain when you start the quest. So you get -2 cooldown to Strength Dex Quick. You also get -1 cooldown further for Slasher Free Spirit, 5.25 times attack, 1.5 HP, tandem slots are beneficial to the crew. And then if a character has a recovery and a tandem slot and then you hit super effectively, then they get a Wano slot at the start of the next turn. And then he has the captain action, which will change his captain ability based on the number of Wano slots consumed during the quest. So just if you take the captain action part of it out of it, the captain ability is pretty basic. Cooldown, HP, attack, and then, you know, generating tandem slots, you know, whenever you have a recovery or a tandem slot to generate Wano slots. Very basic captain, honestly. However, we have the information in regards to his captain action, which is the big thing. When Zoro, with captain action Enma, is set as the captain, an Enma gauge will appear. If anyone on the crew attacks with a Wano slot, the Enma gauge will fill. It can fill up to 5 times per turn. I found that to be a little strange, the fact that you can only get a maximum of 5 Wano slots per turn. Maybe it's due to the fact that if you're able to generate it in such a way, maybe if you do a rush tap, potentially that might be able to charge it over and over again. That's probably why they restrict it. But I do think it's kind of weird that they only do it to 5 times per turn. I think 6 would make sense because you have 6 characters on the crew. So that is a little weird. It does mention in the fine print at the bottom, the Enma gauge will retain even when the captain is swapped. Enma gauge will not appear when Zoro is not the captain or swapped to the captain in the middle of the quest. The only time the Enma gauge appears is when Zoro is your first captain, is one of the captains as soon as you start the quest. If Zoro starts as a sub and then becomes the captain through the effect of a captain swap, the gauge does not appear, okay? So you do have to be very careful about that. The gauge will only appear when he is the captain at the start of the quest. Now, it says, by using the captain action, the Enma gauge will be spent to boost the captain ability. You can activate the captain switching effect even when you have no Enma gauge activated, which is cool. We'll talk about that in a moment. When Enma is drawn, it will reduce the HP based on your maximum HP at the end of each turn. And then while drawn, the captain ability will become stronger and also allows to charge Wano slots easier. You see in the little infographic down here on the left, draw Enma by swiping down to activate the captain action. And it's very similar to the Gear Change Luffy, where you have Gear Change Luffy in the base form Gear 2, you can transform him into Gear 3rd, and then when you have the gauge filled up to a certain level, you can then switch out into, you know, the Gear 4 form, or Tank Man when you activate the special. When the Enma gauge reaches max, it will unleash its true potential. Each turn it will spend much more HP based off of your maximum HP, but the captain ability will be further boosted. So there's actually going to be 3 different captain abilities for Legend Zoro. The first captain ability is this one you see right here, the one that's actually on the unit itself, which is this captain ability. Now when you unsheath it, which you can use anywhere from your Enma gauge being at 0 all the way to 9, this is the captain ability that you're going to get instead. 5.5 times captain to the Free Spirit Slashers, 1.5 HP, makes tandem slots beneficial to the crew, makes his own type slots have matching slot effects, so all type slots are beneficial, makes recovery slots become Wano slots, that's really cool. And if this character attacks super effectively, then he gives himself a Wano slot. So it says if a character's normal attack is effective, so that does affect the whole crew. So as soon as you activate that to unsheath Enma, you will now just be able to hit super effectively and keep generating Wano slots. It makes it much easier to get these Wano slots for the crew. But there is a caveat where it does say in the middle of that paragraph right there, reduces the crew's HP by 15% at the start of the turn. Now, it does, I believe it does mention that it's 15% of your crew's maximum HP, which means that this can kill you, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it can kill you. But there is actually some other information as well, that it says that if Enma cannot further reduce your HP, the captain ability will become weaker. So if you're at a point where you have the buffed version of his captain, and then when you start the next turn and it'll actually cut your HP at the start of the turn, then you'll see that the captain ability does actually decrease. So he becomes a 2x attack boost to Slasher and Free Spirit, which is god awful. You don't want that to happen. So you only really want to use his super buffed captain when you know you're going to kill the enemy, right? And the super buffed captain, which we'll get to in just a moment. So you've got the base captain when you start the quest. You can unsheath Enma to get this form right here. But then this is the drawn Enma at 10 plus Wano gauge filled. It will boost Slasher Free Spirit by 5.75 times, 1.5 HP. Tandem slots are beneficial to the crew. Makes his own type slots beneficial. Recovery slots become Wano. Makes characters' type slots have matching slot effects, and makes characters' normal attacks effective against all enemy types. He's super effective against all types, which means every time he attacks in the super buffed form, he's always going to generate a Wano slot, right? He allows you to deal up to 2 times of the damage cap status applied by the enemy. This is a new effect that this character has. And what this is pertaining to is if an enemy has a damage limiter, very similar to the ulti fight on the current treasure map versus Queen. Ulti has the damage limiter where you can't kill her for 2 turns. This is an effect that says that whatever cap a damage limiter has on the opponent, you can just double it. You can do double the amount of a damage cap, which is very interesting. And to be honest, I feel like they should have just had the ability to just ignore it when he is the captain. I feel like that's probably what they should have done, as we have literally Legend version 1 Frankie that has the capabilities of bypassing it completely. So I do think that is a bit of a missed opportunity, but it's interesting that he has it. But there is more. The captain ability further says, if you tap on this character with a tandem or a Wano slot, applies increased damage taken status to all enemies by 1.5 times for 1 turn, ignoring immunity to status effects. And then the big thing here is that it reduces your crew's HP by 60% of the maximum HP at the start of the turn. This is a huge drawback, which means if you start a turn and you have less than 60% HP remaining, then you will get the nerfed captain of 2 times attack. So you got to make sure that when you are using the super buffed form, that you're actually able to stay above 60% HP, so that when the cut happens, you'll still have the super buffed captain. But this is kind of strange, because it means that you can't really synergize this effect with Rush Sugo special from Sanji. So that's honestly one thing I don't like about this character and how he synergizes with the rest of the anniversary batch. There's just no synergy between the Rush Sugo special. Very, very strange. But that's how Zoro works. So he has the captain ability, and you want to generate as many Wano slots as possible. The best way to do that is to unsheath Enma. You'll take 15% HP cut every single turn at the start of every single turn. But it's really cool because you can generate Wano slots by hitting super effectively. As soon as you hit 10 Wano slots, you'll be able to get the super buffed form of Enma and do a lot of damage to the opponent, inflict increased damage taken by himself, which of course with his special ability, you get his attack boost, you get the conditional boost as well, and then if he has a Wano slot when you launch the special, you get more tandem slots, and you can abuse the super tandem mechanic, which we know at level 5 can increase your conditional attack boosts, and you can see how this character is meant to work, and obviously synergizes perfectly with Luffy, Yamato, and not so much with Sanji in terms of the Rush Sugo special mechanic, but I guess depending on how that goes, you could still use it realistically on like a burst turn if the enemy doesn't revive, and that will still be okay. But overall, Zoro does seem like a lot of work to get right, but when you put in the effort and the hard yards to get his ability to work in the way that it's meant to be, the output of damage you get from this character alone is very, very strong. And then of course we have Alba, which is with the brand new Sugo-fest exclusive that's coming alongside him. One thing we can confirm real quick, yes, it just says new Sugo-fest exclusive Alba, and then on part 2 it does say super Sugo-fest exclusive only Zoro. So Zoro is a super Sugo, Alba or King is a generic legend, which is cool. So he will be more accessible as things progress. But as for the Sugo-fest, it is the exact same steps as the Sanji and the Luffy Yamato part of the Sugo-fest. 50% chance for every poster to be a red on the 9th multi, and then of course you got raid boosted legends as well, but the 30th multi, limited pool, Sugo-fest only character, Super Sugo-fest only character, that is. So in terms of the steps, it's the exact same as part 1 of the Sugo with Luffy Yamato, and also the second part with Sanji. Now, another thing we need to talk about is the brand new rare recruits. So we have this brand new rare recruit Brook, which I must say the artwork looks very, very good. Quick slasher, free spirit. He does have the potential ability of reducing his cooldown by 10 turns at the start of the quest. So essentially, he's going to be ready all the time, which is great. The special ability, 10% health cut, despair reduction by 6 turns, resilience removal by 6 turns, locking your crew slots also for 2 turns, and if you have a color affinity boost when you launch Brook's special, he will buff it by 0.3. Then, if you don't have a color affinity boost, you're still just going to get a 2 times affinity boost for 2 turns. Seems pretty good to me. I think this Brook has a great special, and the fact that you can activate this essentially whenever you need it is great. I really like what they've done with this unit. 6-turn debuff removals are always going to be nice to have, and the fact that it's also a damage dealing special is good. It's a slasher with despair removal in his kit, so you can put Whitey base support on him to remove a further 2 turns of either bind or despair once again. So this is really good. This is a super solid unit that will definitely see lots of play moving forward. In terms of his other effects, he does have this interesting crewmate ability where it sets the bottom row character slots to Wano at the start of the quest. That's also really cool. It's just as soon as you start, you can just get Wano slots for, for a third of your crew, which is very good. The other crewmate effect doesn't really matter. And then the support effect attaching to Sanji and Nico Robin at the start of Battle 2 changes the supported character's slot into matching and locks their slot for 1 turn. Don't really know how useful this is going to be moving forward, but any effect that can activate on specific stages is always nice to have. You never know when you're going to need an effect such as this. So to be honest, I think it's pretty good. I'm a big fan of this rare recruit Brook. The next rare recruit though is Frankie, who is a quick powerhouse free spirit, and his special ability does 80 times his attack in typeless damage to all enemies, so it is another damage dealing special, which is good. Reduces paralysis by 6 turns, changes all slots including block to whatever character's slot this character has. That has a really good potential to be very good. Sets all enemies defense to 0 and boosts your chain by plus 1.2 for 3 turns. Chain Edition is kind of whatever because there's, a lot of legends which can do better things than that, but having a special that can remove a lot of paralysis and have the really cool ability of just generating whatever slot you need, I think that is pretty cool. And again, can synergize very well with Luffy Yamato, for example, where you can use their special to generate a recovery or a Wano slot on this character, use his special, and then the rest of your crew can get it. It does seem pretty cool, right? He does have shipbind ability, which is interesting, and his crewmate ability sets the top row slots into Wano at the start of the quest. Very, very cool. If Brook had this crewmate ability, he'd be legit crazy with that new with the new Zoro, of course, but it's still cool. Generating more Wano slots at the start of the quest, you can't really say that's ever a bad thing. And then the support effect to Zoro and Jinbei. And whenever that character uses a special, you reduce their defense massively for 1 turn. Typically, this is a 70 to 80% defense reduction. You don't really see too many 100% defense reducing support effects, so hopefully we get more of them in the future. It's just kind of whatever. But another thing that we need to touch up on really quick is the fact that there is going to be a brand new support Sugo-fest making an appearance here. So this is going to be on May 26th. Which is, I believe, the same day as the actual Sugo-fest as well, but this is a brand new support Otama. Now remember that Otama, or the support rare recruits typically help a lot in the upcoming super boss Kizunas. So let's go ahead and have a look and see what this character does. So Otama, quick fighter free spirit. The actual effect of this unit in terms of captain and special does not matter. It all comes down to what the support does. So it only attaches to Zoro, Momo, and Big Mom, so quite restrictive to be honest. But in terms of what it does, once per quest, if the supported character does a damage dealing or a percent damage dealing special, further boosts the effect of damage boost dealt to enemies with a specific status effect. It's a lot of words to say conditional boosts, by plus 0.15, and then reduces the crew's attack down and paralysis by 1 turn, and reduces damage threshold by 1 turn. This is a pretty cool special because in a lot of situations, the conditional boost buffing is cool, but in a lot of situations, the best way that this is going to see play is just the attack down, paralysis, and threshold removal. Anytime you use a special for Zoro, Momo, or Big Mom, this is super, super good. And like, this is really interesting though, is the fact that this support, it will buff conditional boost by plus 0.15, but Zoro's super tandem effect already does that. Like, his super tandem at level 5 literally gives you 0.25 increase to your conditional boosts. So I don't know why they've done this, and we know for sure this shouldn't stack. It really shouldn't, because it would have said otherwise. Unless if super tandems have this really weird effect where they supersede buffing effects. I don't really understand how that actually works, but I don't really get why this is such a thing. But to be honest, this will be good for a lot of people, because a lot of the times people will not have, you know, if you get the new Zoro and you want to use him in the Kizuna, you're not going to get his super tandem to level 5. Probably not, right? So being able to just have a support that can generate it for you is good, as he only, like, Zoro with his super tandem only buffs conditional boosts when he gets to super tandem level 4. So having the effect so you don't have to have your super tandem Zoro at level 4 or 5 is actually kind of nice. But, you know, this is still a support that's going to see a lot of play due to really good utility with Zoro, Momo, or Big Mom, so long as they're a damage dealing special. So that's pretty much all the information that I wanted to touch up on in this video. We do have another video to make in regards to super evolutions with Big Mom, as well as the new free-to-play Kaido. So that is going to be that's going to be a big one that we should be talking about. So definitely stay tuned for that. So a very, very busy day here in terms of Treasure Cruise information. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.